Hello, hello. This is Yuri with Moving Sales Professionals and Let's Talk Moving podcast. And with me today, I got the Greg Sheppard, owner of USA Home Listings. How you doing today, Greg?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Good, good, good. Thank you for joining me. Really appreciate it. So, Greg, how did you get into the moving industry?
Uh, Out of hate for what I was doing prior, actually, I enjoyed the product I was selling. I didn't like the hours. And I started in 1993 with Allied Van Lines and at a very modest rate. It's so embarrassing. I won't even say what I made, but it wasn't much. That's to put it mildly. And in Camden, New Jersey, not the greatest town in America. And from there, it just blossomed. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
1990. Got
that's
in.
the. I think that might be the town where the New Yorkers say that there's no light at the end of the tunnel, right?
It's pretty bad. It's not good. In fact, now you wouldn't even go through it. It's pretty scary.
Oh,
So back then it was at least not scary to pull up, but yeah, that's where I started. Very modest beginning. That's putting it mildly.
okay. And so, what has led to USA Home Listings?
Well, I was with Allied for 5 years, and in 1998, I met the number one salesman in that business, and it changed me. And a year later, I
What
became
was the number one salesman in that business?
well, there's a guy that was out there just doing his own thing. He's an independent consultant. And I'm like, independent, what does that mean? I mean, it's like, what do you mean? Well, I just get my own leads and I book my own jobs. Okay. I was kind of doing partially that at the office by getting my own leads and working extra and doing my own mailing and things like that. But he had it on another level. So in 1999, I moved my family to Georgia from New Jersey, which is where I was, you know, where I started. And I mean, immediately I had to get my own leads. Like right off the bat, you're getting your own leads. You're Greg. You're going to starve. My backdrop was, well, if this doesn't work out, Allied Van Lines will still take me. I'm a pretty good guy. I mean, that was really it. It was kind of crazy. I look back, I thought, man, I was nuts with a 6-month-old and a 3-year-old, my wife, and no money. A little bit to put down in the home, but that was it. We didn't have any extra cash.
Trust me,
So
I understand that very, very well.
yeah,
My
we had
beginnings are pretty humble themselves.
had to go real quick, and then got a girl that started back then. Things were different. You could actually, if you got a list, you could call people on their home number. Swear to God, I mean, this is how far things go back.
Yellow
But
pages, or white pages in
well,
this
we
case,
had we
white
had a
pages.
list. Kind of got a realtor had a list, and then we would call the home numbers and set up our appointments. But for me, it was about freedom. It was about growing and maybe have and making more money. There's no question about that. But I didn't want anybody to. I wanted to determine my own future. That was it. And so I said, okay, this is the only way I'm going to do that. If I work for somebody, I can't. And that was pretty much the impetus.
Right.
Worked out. It worked out pretty good. I mean, it worked out. It was kind of tough at the beginning, and then it worked out. And I always had an idea that I said, man, I'm getting this list. If I can find a way to do this for movers nationwide, that would be cool. So I put that idea off. I kind of did a little bit, dabbled way back in probably 2008 or 9 when things weren't going so well in the economy. And then I got real serious about it. And it took years to put it together. But anyway, we've come a long way. Now we're a complete marketing company with the listings and the automated mailing and the digital marketing. And now we're gonna have reputation management as well. That's coming soon. So
Oh, that's awesome. You're gonna have to tell me about that. And now for a quick message from our sponsors. For limited time only, we have partnered with an SEO and marketing company with discounted rates for their services. Schedule an appointment via Calendly link below to learn more. Thank you. And now getting back to the podcast.
yeah, it's better. It's just a better way to run a business. I think it's
Yeah.
pretty simple. I want to see a better lead. And here's we say, what's a real impetus? Should I answer this? When all these online lead people started coming out, I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember coming home and saying, hey, honey, guess what? You can just pay for leads. And she says, really? Like high five. And I started chasing these people around. And after calling 50 people, I still made no money and they weren't good even if I booked it. I'm like, why am I doing this? I'll go back chasing big homes around.
Right.
And and then at the end of my career, it just became very obvious, you know, do what's right, have a good presentation, have a good website presence, and then get to realtors and your own clients who can refer you. Real simple. That's it. It's not rocket science. And so that's what we're creating at USA Home Listings is exactly that. It's just a better paying job, period. Your truck
Right.
goes the road.
And if you happen to enjoy what you do, that of course helps.
Oh, that's part of just growing older and being more mature and having gray hair. I've had,
Yeah,
I've
mine is coming in slowly but surely.
had- but that's
Slowly
it.
but surely.
Just wanted to,
So, what makes your company different, unique
well, we're a
versus? I
complete.
mean, you obviously you have some competition. Everybody sooner or later gets competition. I have competition. I used to not
Oh,
have
number one, we
competition.
wanted to be transparent. Number one, I wanted to be very transparent with what we did. And all our listings, for instance, you can go Google and like it'll say, yeah, it was listed 12 hours ago. It's not a mystery. You can also decide who you want to mail to. You can have automated mailing. And we put it at a price point that it not only is competitive, uh, but it's also more thorough in its base. So not only now do we have the ability to know what home, in the area got listed and when it goes under contract and then to mail to them. But now we have digital targeting where we can target those people with email and 5 to 6 digital ads on Facebook and Instagram just because they listed their home,
Mhm.
which is great augmentation to the mailing. The great there's nothing like being
Well,
able
yeah,
to
it's like us having
their
call when
phone.
we can only do the call, but now we have the text messaging, we have the emailing. So yeah,
Right.
it's giving you all the tools. And now for a word from our sponsors. If you're a moving business owner, you may have already heard of Moversville, an email marketing service that helps moving companies increase, repeat, and referral business. But have you heard of Moversville Connect? Moversville Connect is an incredible resource for all things moving. They feature an array of vendors and services that cater specifically to the moving industry. You can find companies that provide moving software, moving sales services, marketing services, moving equipment providers, and much, much more. Visit moversville.com today to learn more.
We give movers the tools and they're just better tools and they're better paying jobs.
Yeah,
My
of
average
course.
sale, I think back in the day was 3,500 local, 37, 35, 37 over the course. And everybody's like, well, I'm doing $1,200. I'm like, well, whoa, that's not that great. In fact, the guy that I really gave business to for many, many, many years, great guy, his company, he wouldn't allow me within 2 years of booking anything under 1,500. I wasn't even allowed because he paid his guys by the day.
Mhm.
And by the day, he says, I really don't want that work. There's no money when it's all said and done. I can't. I pay them for 8 hours. They walk their door.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I better figure out this real quick.
Mhm.
So now I have to see even better homes, not just any lead.
Right.
And I also believe it's better for people to call you than you have to chase them around.
Absolutely.
And that's just
That's what you want. That's what we want. I mean, obviously if you
everyone.
get great leads,
Yeah.
you're only talking to them or they're only talking to
Spending
you.
your time speaking,
Yeah.
not calling them, hunting them down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Online world, let me sell it to 8 people. You'll go chase them while the other guy gets on the phone first in 2 seconds. You're
Mhm.
5 seconds in, you're late.
Yeah,
So it was never a
absolutely.
big opinion. I mean, I talk to movers all the time. They're never really great leads.
No.
They aren't. They're
I mean,
1,200.
honestly, the best leads that were out there as far as lead provider leads went before Angie's List and Home
Yeah,
Advisor
yeah,
became one entity. Home
yeah,
Advisor was excellent
yeah.
before those two became one. Because I can tell you myself, and I don't put myself on the same level of a lot of people to be so not to be too whatever, but I'm a pretty good sales rep. And I was booking Home Advisors winter time about 16%. Summer was probably close to 25, maybe even 30. But
Right.
that was this was what 2-3 years ago before Angie's List and Home Advisor became one entity. So that was a downer because like all of a sudden the quality of leads and just the opportunity, the price for the lead went up, the quality went way down. Now, if you're getting them anywhere near 10%, you're doing awesome. But the chance of you to go over 10% for
But
them, it's probably
but
close to
but
none.
I hear from movers all the time. They say, I said, what's your average sale? And they'll say anywhere between, and sometimes it's 800 a little low, but 1,200. I'm like, really? Well, we don't have any of that. I couldn't even turn it in. So I couldn't make the living and live where I live based on selling $1,200 jobs. I couldn't.
Mhm.
That's just a fact.
I
It's
mean,
just
you can, but you have to sell a lot of them.
a lot. Yeah. And I was in, by the way, let's get straight. I was an in-home sales guy.
Hmm.
So for all those years, I sold water treatment before getting to this, and that was a very tough sale.
Hmm.
So when I walked in, I had a presentation and I knew exactly what to say. You arrive exactly on time and do all the right things.
Hmm.
But the wealthier people, or just people in general that own homes, are a better paying customer,
Hmm.
and they don't complain as much. And if something happens, they go, oh, it's okay. I'm still good. It's a different experience.
So
And
what is your approach today? Because like basically, so I just went to two events. I was with you in Arizona, and then I went to New York State like literally a couple of days after that. Monday I was at New York State. And overall takeaway that I had that I keep talking about recently, overall takeaway that I had was that people were talking about focusing much heavier on the renters market.
it makes me cringe. So I don't know. You couldn't get me. Sorry, nothing
But I
personal.
think we're talking but I think when we're talking renters market, especially the companies that we're talking about that I've spoken with, I think we're talking high-end renters market. So we're not talking studios, one bedrooms. We're not talking even talking two bedrooms.
Okay,
We're talking management companies potentially, or some sort of a high-end complexes
that's fine. If
that
you can get,
that
if you,
rent
yeah,
anywhere from like a three-bedroom to a whatever level house, right? That are actually renting those things. So the question is, while you obviously do what you do with home listings, how do you do the same thing that you're currently doing with with those high-end rentals? How do you turn it that way? Is there a way?
I don't know. You'd have to, first of all, everything, if it's not scalable, I wouldn't even start it, whatever it may
Mhm.
be, whatever you're doing, it doesn't even
Right.
matter. Is there a path of least resistance to get the best paying lead? Period. I mean,
Hmm.
it's what it's all about.
Right.
If there's a way that you could get to all these companies, say, oh my gosh, yes, they're a high end renter. Let's give it to Greg. Okay, I'd be good with that. I don't know anything about that can do that. I don't know of any great way, but I
Because
have.
the main thing that like I've talked to people about, and obviously it's an obvious thing right now, right? With the current market that we're in, for first time that I've ever seen this. And I mean, 2010, I didn't own a home yet, so I saw people that lost their homes because of the bubble because they paid 500,000 or whatever for
Way too
something
much.
that cost 350. But
So,
we're in the same situation now where it's crazy. Like I was looking for a bigger house. I have a townhouse, right? I was looking for a bigger house. The houses that 2 years ago cost 400K now cost 550, six
no,
hundred.
yep, yep.
So, and you have the 7.5, 8% interest rate.
That's the killer.
Right.
And that
So not
changes.
only, right. So not only are you going to, if you buy that now, not only are you going to be paying a lot higher mortgage because of the interest rates, and God knows when you're going to be able to refinance, right? Not only that, you already going in, you already know that whenever you are ready to sell this home, you're going to lose 100 to 150 to maybe even $200,000. So,
Maybe there's, I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm heavily invested in the market and I watch, that's all I watch. I don't watch the regular news.
mhm,
And they say it's going to be a real soft landing. And the reason is, remember what happened in 2008, 2009,
mhm,
2007, when they
yeah,
were getting no doc loans. I mean, people could breathe on paper, shouldn't ever even be offered a home of any shape, fashion, or form,
right,
and they're getting in.
right,
Oh, there's a big problem with that. All the subprime loans is what led to it. That's been corrected. So what the Fed had to do now is they very correct that. It's not happening. Banks are not loaning. Here's the thing. Banks aren't loaning every person out there that has a 300 credit score. It's not going to happen. You
mhm,
can't get it.
right,
Okay. So that was an exaggerate thing. Plus, there's been 15 years of wonderful glory and everything's going well, and there has to be a turn. There always is
right,
with every
right.
summer.
Well, it's
A winter is going to hit. That's right. It's just a matter of
right,
when. But there's things in place on that. Once it gets down to 5.5%, they say people are that's it, they're all gone. And then you say it will come back, but they had to stop inflation first, and they did that.
right.
And now it's okay, let's get things. Then there could be a correction. Absolutely. We just had a neighbor in our home and like, what did they sell for? Are you kidding? Like our
Well,
home.
my townhouse that I bought for 200K in 2016, if I put it on the market right now, I'll go for 320, 340 right
Well,
now if I did
we,
that, but I have nowhere to go.
we've
That's
had
worth buying.
right. And the bigger homes go up 400,000 and 500,000,
Uh-huh.
which is insane. It's great for us living here. The problem is I got to go buy something else.
Right.
Uh-oh. So you're in the same
Well, I'm
position.
paying 3.5, so
Yeah,
why
same
would I
here.
do that right now?
Same here. Well, you're not. But there's a
I'm paying
point
$1,200 for my mortgage. If I did the other thing, I'd be paying
uh,
2,300, 2,500.
more. Right. But here's the thing too. I look at my son. my oldest son, Christian, and Margaret, his wife, they've been married for a year. They make good money, an engineer, an accountant, and they're doing really well. And
Congratulations.
they don't want to pay that, 7.5%, but they're at a point where they're saying, like, we don't care next year. We're buying a home and it doesn't matter. And we can always refinance. It will come down and we can make it. So I think there's pent up demand. Plus, for the first time, there's less homes being built than there is demand for them. There's more families being formed. But when this switches, man, it's game on for every mover that's out there, because it's going to be
absolutely.
But you got
we just have to survive it while
Yeah.
that switch turns on, because once it does, we're going to be all busy, which is great. We're all going to make good money.
A recession is inevitable.
Yeah,
any given stretch of time, and it was a very long one where it didn't happen. But
yeah.
Anyway, whatever that's worth, that's more Fed talk. But I'm always an optimist by nature. The people that want to get ahead always will. I talk to people every day like you do, and I'll give them ideas, and I'll say, would you please be the one person in 100 that I've spoken to that will actually do this? Will you do this? You promise? I'll give you $100 if you do it. Like I say, I'll give you money if you actually pull this off. Well, I'll do it, Greg. I'm like, no, you won't. Well, I want to.
You're gonna have to give me one of those things.
Oh, there's so many things. Video.
I always love listening to nuggets. So nuggets of
Nuggets
information.
are just put yourself in a video like I did and say, hi, I'm Greg, and thanks for stopping by. Just want you folks to know, if you give us an opportunity, we'll make sure your move goes well. There'll be no issues on move day. There'll be no surprise charge. There'll be no hidden fees. And we think that's what you deserve. So thank you. And we look forward to speaking with you and treating you like family. Take care. That's it.
And you can take that to the bank.
And then you can put it right on your website. I kind of like
that was a promo right there. I love it.
I know, just because I've done it so much. It's like I've done so many videos. It's like, why don't people do this? And I hope they see this and go, well, I can do that. Of course you can.
Yeah.
You know what it requires?
There were I grew up
it requires a phone.
Yeah. These days, yeah.
And then the other half of it, I wish I had it right here. Sorry, it's not in front of me, but a little microphone, a little lapel mic. It's $149 on Amazon. This stuff used to cost thousands years ago. It's literally $149.
Right. There used to be this attorney guy in Pittsburgh. If you guys grew up in that area and you're about the same age as me, you know who I'm talking about. Attorney Edgar Snyder, and the things that we can do for you. And he always, his finger was always off. It was always not landing at the right time. Like I remember seeing that over and over again as a kid growing up, watching cartoons, and that commercial would pop up on regular television because we didn't have cable. So I remember that, and it's I mean, you definitely want to. I mean, you want to be genuine
like that. You can, and we have it now with our new program. I'm not putting a sales pitch in here, but we've literally teamed up with the #1 reputation management company in the world, literally. And we're going to offer at a price that you can't even get by them direct, which is cool. And we're adding in this realtor connection.
What's the company, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, I'll wait till we haven't unloaded it yet. Can we wait 2 days? Literally,
right. You can tell me when we're off the air, and I won't say anything. I promise.
There you go. But I'll tell you what, they can look it up. It's not a mystery. So the point is, but we had to augment their system to make it so the realtor, we have all the realtors in the country, every single one that list a home with their cell phone numbers and their emails. And when you move somebody, it'll send out a survey and say, how do we do? If they didn't answer, hey, Joe, how do we do? Goes again. Joe, come on, knock, knock. How do we do? And they finally reply and say, great, you get 5 stars. I love you and all that. Okay. When they do that, you can share and post and ask them to go to Google My Business, etc. But then what it does, it takes the realtor in and says, hey, realtor, do you see, Joe the realtor? Hey, Joe the realtor, did you see what your client had to say? Which is your client. It's a shared client.
Right.
Would you mind if I sent you back my information, which is what I did, or send you a discount code to use for your clients, whatever.
Right.
But you're introducing because you had a reason to. There's people that are purporting go attack realtors, and I am telling them do that and see what happens. It's the greatest way to run your business to the ground, because you had no right to get a hold of somebody and say, why don't you just give me business? Oh, really? Well, I'm a realtor. I'm kind of hurting too. And by the way, this week alone, this is what realtors, I've had 20 people ask me for business in the last 5 years. That builds up to thousands, but no one ever offers me anything in advance,
right?
In return. So I did this what we're coming up with is exactly what I did, but it's not manual. I did it manually.
Well, yeah, you have to do it right.
Oh, it wasn't scalable what I
You
was
can
doing.
automate anything these days.
Awesome. And that's what we've done. So we automated that to get people real connections because realtors, and I remember one specifically, remember even know where she lives. I moved her as well. I won't forget. She called and a lot of realtors did. Greg, I apologize. I'm only giving you a 3-bedroom home. But can you help me out with these people? I'm like, don't apologize. You crazy? But I had them believing that Greg did all these big homes. It's kind of funny. But there were some that did. One in particular moved her also to Lake Oconee, but I don't think I ever got a lead under $2 million from her, meaning a home. And let me tell you, in Atlanta, that's a big home. Like that's 10, 12,000 square feet.
Wow.
Every single, I think that's all she sold. And she was doing well. And I've learned don't try to bribe them with money, just give them good service. And
yeah. At the end of the day, it's all about the service.
That's all they want. And better realtors make enough money. They just want you to do their client well so they can look good.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So no, can't buy gifts.
You make them look good, you're gonna get them to have more money ultimately.
Well, you can't, by the way, they're not allowed, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure there's a real estate police out there, but they're not allowed to take money in on a referral. They can't, at least not in Georgia. They can't do it. So they have to give
Under the table.
Yeah, maybe you're going to bribe someone. You can't do that. And by the way, I thought it was always silly. Just tell people I'm here and this is the kind of work we do.
Right.
And it worked well. So half my business after a while was coming in from realtors. And isn't that the way to go? They get your card in the mail. Oh, and your realtor said you're done. But there's
right. Yeah, absolutely.
Get distracted here. I don't want to keep going on that.
No. This is good. I mean, honestly, this is what people want to hear because it's like I mean, you saw this in Arizona. I saw this in Arizona. All these moving companies are all concerned with the state of the industry. They're all concerned. You could see it on their faces. Like they're walking past you and it's just like, they're more determined to really try to figure something out. They think that maybe Lewis can offer them something or somebody else can give them something that's going to allow them to weather the storm. Because reality is this, a lot of companies will go out of business this year. Between now and March, there's going to be a lot of companies that will be out.
And what I tell people always, everybody knows this, when things are going good, then pour fire on it so it never goes away.
Right.
And the whole idea, and I tell people, this is kind of funny. I said, your job is to put me out of business. And what do you mean? They kind of laugh. Your job is to get so many referrals, you don't need me anymore. Isn't that the goal? Well, yeah, that's everybody's goal. Our list will always be good though, because it's always new, fresh people don't know who you are.
Right.
However, your goal is to be a referral magnet.
Right.
And make your Google My Business page go to 1,000 reviews. And do you think you really need to sell when you get to 1,000 reviews? You're 4.9. Nah.
No, I mean, honestly, I just saw that for the first time. I've talked to a lot of moving companies, right? But I forget which one it is, but it's one of the people that I'm talking to right now, one of my potential clients that I'm talking to right now. And he has, no joke, over 1,000 positive reviews and like 4.7 or 4.9 on Google. I think that's the first time that I've ever seen that. I've seen 200, I've seen 300, but it's very rare that you see somebody has 1,000.
I got somebody has 1,600.
Right. So that tells you one thing.
But they're focused on getting them. They're focused on
they have to be. And you know what? Every single one of my clients, and you guys hear me say this on my podcast a lot. Do not wait till after the move to get that positive review. You're right there. The customer is happy. The customer just tipped the guys and tipped them well. Right there. Here's an iPad. Please help us grow our business. Here's a link. Here's a link. Here's a link. Please take 5 minutes. Please help us out. Because you know what? The moment you drive off that job, tomorrow they're going to forget about you. No matter how many emails you send them, very few of them are actually going to do it.
Mine does. I got it in my video course. There's a way to do that.
And we'll talk about that. But the best thing to do is right there and then, because another thing happens. They're happy right there. They haven't had a chance to look over all their furniture, right? Tomorrow, they start moving things around and they discover a scratch or they discover something else. And then when you finally get them on the phone, by that point, they're not quite as happy as they were when the move was finished. And maybe there's a scratch somewhere. Now you end up, instead of having a happy review that you were so hoping for, you actually end up with a claim. So it's better to do it right there and then
Well,
before it becomes something else.
I have my feelings on that because I've done it for years, and I couldn't. I had people that would, on the opposite end. I had people that said, "Greg, you guys are awesome." They would literally call me during the move, and I'm like, "Whoa, that's awesome! By the way, I'm going to send you an email when this is over, and you're going to, oh, I'll do anything," and they don't. And I'm like, "Okay, what's going on?" Okay, so I send an email. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'll get this done," and they don't. I'm like, "All right." This is not a people issue. It's not they don't like you issue. They referred 20 of their friends. They told their realtor everything's going, and they still don't do it. I said, why? I know why. Because it's a pain in the butt, and they got to change their course of whatever they're doing.
Right. Which
So
is why if it's right there and then.
But you write an email, and I said, you'll get a free gift certificate at
Right.
Starbucks if you do 2
Well, you
questions.
can offer it to them right there and then too, because if you need to.
I wanted to try. I wanted the real reality of like, did you really like us or no? I want to know the answer because
Well, so do we, obviously.
you don't want them to go to Google My Business. You don't want them going there and saying, "Hey, this guy wasn't so great," or I'm giving you a 3-star.
Right.
And somebody was actually just put it right on their page here. Go rate us. What, are you crazy? What, you better hope they like you.
Right. That's why you do it. If the customer is
Yeah.
happy, you ask him to do it. If the customer is grumbling, you don't. So
Call them.
you only focus on the ones that are happy, of course, because I mean, ultimately they're real reviews. And these days, the whole world of India, China, Philippines, whatever, getting you 100 reviews that you could pay
Oh,
for
you can't do
before,
that.
that's
Facebook.
gone.
First of all, Google
It doesn't
knows.
work. Right. That's where I was going with that. That's where I
Yeah,
was going with that. Google verifies all that stuff. So
you're out. You're out in about 1 second on
yeah,
that one. You'll ruin
absolutely.
your business.
So it doesn't, like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that worked.
Yeah,
Now,
maybe.
not anymore. That's gone. Don't
No.
waste your money.
You can see fake reviews anyway. You can see
Yeah.
when they're written, they're pretty obvious. The guys were professional and nice, and they were the best company ever.
Man,
And
you haven't read the ones that I had to write for one of my clients. They
right.
paid me like I think it was either $5 a review, and I wrote 100 of them. And
Nice.
I'm very good at very creative, so I changed names. I did all sorts of things. They look genuine. You better believe it. So they did not look generic by any means. I made sure I earned my $500. You know, but yeah. But no. This is awesome because a lot of people are asking about what it is that they can do to change things. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if your program has space to do the high end renters market or not.
We haven't
That's
really looked into it. Remember, my whole thing has always been, can I scale this, and can it scale for
But it's
us?
going to allow you to scale it because if you look at high end, look, some of the big apartments or some of the renters, those are all scalable because their pricing that they're paying, yeah, they're going to be paying as much for that rental as people pay for a mortgage. The amount would be the same. The only difference really is that here they're only locked in into a year. There they're locked in on 30 or 15 or whatever, right? And these people, it's not that those people generally they have money. It's just they realize that, hey, I don't want to be in the 30-year right now. I want to wait till this thing drops and then I'll get what I want.
That's my son. That's what combined, they make really
Right.
good.
So there's got to be a way that you can use your program to
Look into it.
focus on that. And I'm sure right now, especially, you're going to have customers that are going to be clamoring for that because they need those jobs right now. All the moving companies need their jobs because their leads are crap. That's reality. And lead providers do this time of year what they do every year, which is they're throwing everything in their kitchen sink at you, hoping that the guy looking for a truck, hoping that the guy looking for an apartment or guy looking at a house is going to hire you as a mover. But reality, it's crap. It's like you're fishing, and to expect anything beyond 3-5% booking percentage off this stuff is unrealistic because it's crap. And like if before you were getting maybe wintertime, you were getting maybe 10-20% junk. Nowadays, you are probably in the 30s, maybe even 40s for some of these lead providers.
I never did it. If I shared the number, what I used to book, your people would fall out of their chair. They wouldn't even believe me. So I wouldn't mention it.
Look,
Probably not.
anytime I go in on that home estimate, and I've been to a few because we do have clients in our area, in Virginia, Maryland, DC, where we're based. So I've jumped in the car. I went on I probably book those like 8 out of 10. If I do a virtual with somebody on the phone where they show me
Here's the
their
thing,
home,
too.
I get them 8 out of 10. So
Here's the thing. There's a $1,200 move or you have a $6,000 move. That means I have to see 5 of those people, 5,
yeah,
same amount of people,
of course.
just to make up for one guy. Why wouldn't I just focus on one and get another one? And these
Well,
people,
yes, on one side, yes, but the thing is that the thousand, if you think of it this way, because I've had sales reps like that just focused on the biggies, but I
Yeah.
saw it firsthand. I had a sales rep who would spend like she could spend 45 minutes on the phone with one person, and those were the big $6,000 jobs. But reality was she had a couple potential that were 1,500, 2,000, where she could have spent 45 minutes or 2 or 3 or 4 of those collectively and get that same 6,000 total.
I
So
guess
it's not always like that.
now
Like,
remember where I think of course my past is completely different than what you do. You're booking for clients.
mhm.
I went out and saw them because I'm seeing, 4 and 5 bedroom homes
Well,
all day.
yeah, when you go out and see, it's
And
different.
this is prior COVID,
Mhm,
prior visual, prior all that stuff.
mhm.
So I date myself by being a little old school, 100%.
Mhm.
But I do think you got a better shot when you see it, especially with the bigger homes. And
You do,
there's no
but
issue.
but it's also like these days, virtual route is also works. And
Really quick, we didn't have the software back
right,
then.
you didn't.
Yeah.
Honestly, for me personally, I am to the point where I can take an 11,000 pound inventory and knock it out over the phone in 15 minutes.
Right, that's pretty good.
Because I go click, 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 click. My pitch is much faster. I leave all my schmoozing to the end when I ask for their business. That's where I talk about how great the company is, how good we are, how great we do the job. I mean, I'm believer in not the script per se. There are things that we need to find out from a customer. There are questions that we need to ask. There are parameters of every call that you need to follow. In what order you want to follow him, it's up to you as a sales rep.
There's 4 things I always said you have to say. Number 1, why are you moving before you
Yeah.
talk?
Yeah.
Number 2, congratulations. Number 3, let me write down some notes. There's no problems. Number 4, let me see if I can find you some ways to save money. And they're like, okay, the empathetic statement, and then the ability to take care of the business, and then saying, I'm going to make sure there's no problem. I'm going to save you money. Those are the 4 that I find just say every single call, every single in-home. It's all the
Yeah, I
same.
mean, look, realistically, once you have your pitch down, like a script is good for somebody that's new to the industry. A script is good to get people in the right state of mind.
Right.
But at the end, when they already know how to do that, they don't need a script. They should be able to.
There's certain things you should say.
There's certain things that you should say, and you will on every single call, because I can tell you, no matter what company I call for, no matter what client I talk to, I say pretty much the same exact thing every call. And I've been very successful. I can sit down, and if all I have to focus on is booking jobs and not have to focus about on this podcast, not have to focus whatever, I'm a 200,000 plus salesperson every single month. If all I have to do is just book jobs.
Right. Yeah, that's the way it should be.
But anyway, this is awesome. Thank you so much for joining me, Greg. This has been a pleasure. And as I always say, the world moves on its own, so let the professionals move yours for you. Thank you for joining us, and we'll talk again soon. I'd love to get you on again.
Thanks, Yuri. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.